You see, most of the time, when we listen to something, straight away we have a conclusions of certain things, right? And the conclusion sometimes can be quite nasty. Because why? Because our mind is not calm. Our mind is not in a peaceful state. That is to say, your mind is not no peace. So when your mind is no peace, your mind is always in the boiling stage. How can you come up with a good solution? You can't. Your mind must be very calm. Then you look at things very peacefully. Even though some other people may mistake it, but yet we look the whole situation. We have a solution to the situation. There is a person with a peace state of mind when they look at problem. They only look for solutions. They won't play the blaming game. No blaming game. No blaming game, no sabotage game on how to solve the problem. How am I going to help this thing out? And this is what we call, as we move along in this world of existence, people who has wisdom will always assist with people that have less wisdom or less fortunate, less opportunity. That should be the way. If you are meditator, especially you call yourself meditator, the more you must exercise this kind of thoughts, right? Instead of emotion. Because emotion can never solve problem, but solution will solve problem. Solution is what? When you know that certain people promise certain thing, but they never keep to the promise. Why? We're not going to get angry. We always say, okay, now this thing is like that. How to move on? How to move on? That's all. And never mind. That should be the way. Then we won't get ourselves worked up. We won't get angry, or we won't curse and swear. We won't involve a lot of this unwholesome thinking that will arise in us, and thus creating all this harm, more detrimental thoughts in ourselves. Because a lot of detrimental thought that arise in us is always very, very demoralizing. The more we think about it, the more we get demoralized. And that is wrong. We must look at it in a different way. And that's meditation. We call it bhavana, mental development. It's developed for the better. So when you think for the better, how to improve, how to solve a problem, especially our greed, our hatred, our delusions. And this is the most tough issue we got to handle. And because we are human beings, we are living in this world, we associate with people, they have a lot of defilement like us. So how to strike the balance? You want to strike the balance, you got to apply what? You have to apply a lot of mindfulness, a lot of contemplation, a lot of considerations, a lot of thoughts, a lot of metta, a lot of kindness. You can see the agitation, the kind of dissatisfactory state of mind arises in us. But we look at it, we're not going to react to it. We know that by reacting to this kind of mind state, it will only aggravate the situation. So we don't. We say, okay, how to find a better solution? That should be the way. If you know the thing in this way, then, no problem. Any place you go, no problem. When they have problem, because people have this kind of thoughts, this kind of blaming thoughts, sit there, emotionally affected, pointing finger, looking for a scapegoat to take over the blame. And that's not the way we solve problem. We solve problem, okay, how to solve the problem? How? And we keep propping into the problem. This is externally. And internally, same thing. We use the same principle to ourselves, right? For example, someone talk back about us. We know someone talk back about us. Of course, the first reaction is what? Not happy, not satisfied, because why? How can he say that? We never do it. How can you blame us? But on later stage, we start to feel sorry for the person that, it's so miserable to drop into the state of mind. The state of mind that is uncertain, no confidence. The state of mind that unwholesome. Then we start to pity we're not going to create a karma. We can reflect on that, based on what we come across. And instead of getting angry, we apply compassion, we apply kindness, and okay. And if their party accept, okay, they accept, it's okay, because why? Because we are not the one that's going to get injured or destroyed by the thoughts. And this is very important. This is very important for a practitioner in the development of our own mind. But if we harbor unwholesome thought that is destructive, the first one to get hurt is ourselves, because the thought arises in us and we start to think illy, unwholesomely on developing this kind of unwholesomeness in ourselves under the disguise of defense, which is wrong. You should be the disguise of what? Patience, forgiving. That is the practice. Remember, in life, in this coexistence of mankind, no one is perfect. Everybody make mistakes. If we don't apply forgiveness, compassion, they will end up all the quarrel. You can see all kinds of institutions, all kinds of problems. Because why? Human problem. These are human problems. And it's not the religion. It's the problem of mankind. And when we practice, we are aiming in solving this problem. That is our mind problem. The problem comes from why? We don't know. We don't have the peace in ourselves. If we are peace, then we don't want to be disturbed. The internal peace in ourselves. We know that it's better that we be the one being bullied rather than we bully other people. It's good. Then we see that, okay, you bully me, you meet with some opponent in the future, and when they meet with the wrong guy that's not so kind like us, so compassionate, then they go to get it. Then we see, someone do the job for us, we don't have to do anything. And that should be the way. You see, a lot of good people, they always protect by somebody, which we don't know. But kindness always pay, compassion always pay, patience always pay. Remember, okay? And that will be the sharing for today. Now, this is the first time I saw vehicle anicca. So it gave me this very good reflection. Oh, this must be someone who know the reality of nature, anicca, the impermanence of everything. And the person who dare to put out this sign must be a person that established in the Dhamma, that being able to accept the facts of life that is changing. People come, people come, people go. Sometimes good, sometimes not good. And this is part and parcel of life. You don't expect everything to be good all the while, right? Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's sunshine. It happens to everything on earth. And if we are able to understand the law of nature, the law of change, so whatever happens in your life, whether it's success or whether it's failure or whatever, we know that it's impermanent. When everything comes to the tip, and there's the downfall. It's just the Himalayas, mountains, right? It's full of ice. And now what happened? We have reports that ice has start melting. Everything start to degrade. You look at mankind, the mind state of our human mankind. 50 years ago and 50 years later, the moral state of their mind. And luckily we have this kind of moral teachings, the teachings of the Buddha, that we accept the reality of change. The acceptance of the reality of change is something that will elevate us so that our heart won't be so painful like last time. Because why? If a person don't understand or can't accept the changes or what is happening in their life, they were always taught that everything is permanent, that you won't grow old, you won't grow sick. Our daughter, our son will be forever, forever. They'll be living with us. And what happens when something strikes us? The uncertainty of life happens, and we'll be emotionally affected by the changes, by the loss of someone. That's why the Buddha say, birth, aging, illness, and death, right? It's suffering, but it doesn't stop just there. The Buddha thought of how to get out of suffering, not just pointing the way that this is suffering and this suffering. Like most of the people said, you Buddhism always talk about suffering, you think very negatively, and blah, blah, blah. I said, no, that's not true. We're talking about the truth of life and how to get out from the suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path, or the Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the precepts, the reframe of our actions, our speech, the reframe of how we behave ourselves in terms of meditation to control our mind, to control of the way to recognize the weakness in ourselves, to be aware that, this is greed, this is hatred, this is delusions. then we can find our way out. Then we can find our way to our problems. That's why mindfulness is the key to all these problems. Because you're mindful, you know that life is harsh, life is cruel, it's bad, but we can understand that it will change. It's not forever. We just endure it. We just be mindful, go through the process, and how to make good. We apply the teachings of the wise one, the Buddha, the wise who knows. And this is how we can gain happiness from the pool of suffering. In the world of this suffering that we are in, because why? A lot of people, they latch on to all these external sensory glands for the happiness. And they can never find real happiness, because the real happiness can only be found within our own heart as a happiness of peace. Peace from all sense of forms of greed, peace from all forms of hatred, peace from all forms of delusions. And this is wisdom. When you have this kind of happiness arise, the understanding, the maturity of spiritual, very profound, that develop within your own mind, then you can really find a real peace. Whatever happened on earth, what happened around us. So what with the COVID? You come another 20 COVID, 30 COVID, COVID 30, COVID 19, 20, 21. So what? This is the world. We cannot change the world. We cannot stop the world from developing because of human greed, hatred, and delusion. That is the cause for this mess of suffering within us. But we ourselves, we can have this control. We can have the control of our own life. We can make the decision how to make this change within ourselves. We're not going to go against the world, but we go against the flow of our greed, our hatred and delusion. We go inwards us. And this is the real happiness we can find. We can't change the world, we can't change other people, but we can change ourselves. And this is why we are here. This is why we are developing this. Trying very hard is not beyond trying. You fall down, you stand up again. You fall down, stand up again. Keep trying, keep trying. We always have this saying, no pain, no gain, and practice make perfect. If you never met up with difficulties, if you never met up with hindrances, then how are we going to develop wisdom or the way to solve problems? And this is how we're going to develop all this kind of goodness within ourselves. Bring out all the resources that we have learned, all the kind of position happen, and we put in full swing in the practice, then we can find the real happiness. And for the time being, bear with the pain, bear with the uncertainty in yourself, because we still haven't found a path, but we are on the way. There's the way. And everybody that comes is on the way. And it depends on how much effort you want to put it in, and how persistent or how hardworking are you at it. How mindful are you? The practice is more on the mindfulness. You are mindful in your daily life activities, regardless of what position you are in, regardless of what you are doing, any chores, you are practicing the developments of your mind. And that is meditation. And that will be the sharing for today. The monk will do the blessing now. You see, a lot of people, they used to have a lot of lands, and they do agriculture in the past, and the whole family was together, everything was intact. But due to we call it the new generations of doing things, everything has been mechanized, mass productions. And due to the old age of certain generation, they have to sell away their place, right? And the new generation doesn't want to take up the old trade of farming and so forth. And they've forgotten the fundamental needs of mankind is food, lodging, medicine, and clothing. And when we taught that we should get educations so that we can get a job and pay off our bills, this is what we hear in this society. And it turned out the other way around. So a lot of people graduated, no job opportunity. Why? And some even worse, sell away their farmland in order to support the son or daughter to go overseas to study, and ended up nothing. They can't even do farming now, because why? The farm is sold and nothing is left. That's why we thought about basic need. When we have something, it's good that we leave behind. But nowadays people don't think of that. Due to small population, due to small families, so people don't think. But of course, subject to cause and conditions. And what we are facing now, a lot of people, they say, I must have a lot of money, they have happiness. And they have a lot of money, but they don't find happiness. What they find is more problems in their life. And they're going to work harder and harder, like we read in the news. Why people are going to take out 2 jobs and still can't make ends meet? Why? Can't pay off. And in the end, all landed up in stressful state of mind. Bodily sick, got to pay for the medical bills and so forth. So we always got to go back to the most fundamental thing in our life. And of course, when we say that fundamental thing, the basic thing that we should have, and we should slow down. A lot of people don't know how to slow down. But of course, slowing down doesn't mean become lazy, not doing anything. Slow down, that means we have enough. And then we try to have more time to for ourselves. Most of the time, they overwork. Most of the people, they overwork. They doesn't have time for themselves, for their family, and they ended up lots of family problems. This is because of what? Human craving, human misunderstanding, not understanding what they need. That's why the cultivations of Dhamma is very important. It's very, very important. It's just like we need to have this kind of cultivation ourselves. If not, we will be always a slave to our craving, to all these material needs. And people say that, I have money, I have happiness. So they work very hard. Yeah, they have a lot of money, but they don't find happiness. They land up in what? Hospital. When they are diagnosed with all this sickness and time, then they start to regret. Like the Buddha's teaching, you have a healthy body, there's a wealth. But we protest how to be wealthy, to have a healthy body. Because without this healthy body, you have this sick body. What for? You have money. You can't even enjoy the food. You can't enjoy all the activity people enjoy doing. You can't. And you'll be spending all the money on the doctors, medicine to keep the body fit again. So we got to reverse back the way we think. Have more rest. Of course, to have a moral livelihood, moral living. When people say, hey, slow down, they ended up what? Drinking, taking drugs, all these kind of unwholesome activities. And they say, relax. This is wrong. When we say slow down, means you slow down, have enough rest, enough for your family, enough for yourself, so your mind can rest. But a lot of people now, we look at the society, it's filled with all this unwholesome activity all around. And people get the wrong message. You are the one who tell to slow down. You slow down to do good thing, not to slow down to do destructional thing for oneself. Like what are youngsters now having all this mental disease, mental problem? Because there's no proper training, no proper thing to tell them, to guide them. Even though there's proper human craving, it's so easily to be dragged down to those unwholesome activity. And this is the happening of the world now. You see, we have young people coming, have mental problems. Why? Then we find out, because they involved with drugs, involved with unwholesome activity. So it is part of our duty, every individual parent's duty. We are only just encouraging people, telling people what is right and what is wrong. You are the one who decide. You are the one who got to do the groundwork for your family. And that will be the sharing for today. You see, nowadays, there's a lot of news, a lot of informations. We can get it from the internet or from the newspaper. Now, most of the time, when we read newspaper, we will take side and we will get emotionally affected. But if you were to look at the aspect of Dhamma, or what you can learn from this piece of information, and that should be the approach when we read news and when we encounter with our daily life encounterment. Now recently, I came across this news of this Muslim lady. Her son was murdered by her friends, also the Muslim. And this man was caught and was punished by the law. And the punishment was sentenced to death. And they asked the victim's mother to do her execution. A lot of public people will be the witness that, okay, an eye for an eye, you can do your revenge now. And surprisingly, the victim's mother decided to forgive the offenders. And it was very shocking to everyone that, hey, why you do that? You're given an opportunity. Why you don't you revenge? And the lady, you know what the lady say? I have lost my son, and I know how it feels to have lost a son. But her son, because of his ignorance, he committed the mistake. And I don't want to inflict pain on the offender's mother because it was her son. So when I read this news, I really, really respect this lady that don't take revenge. She can forgive, right? And she said that, yeah, in my religion, we are taught to forgive. And because of this thing in my heart, I forgive this boy so that the mother doesn't suffer. You see? So that the mother doesn't suffer. Is she angry about this boy? Yes. But because I consider that the impact, we call it related karma, because it's all related. If you kill the son, the mother will be sad. Related karma, you see? So I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt the mother because of the foolishness of this boy or this man. So you can see forgiveness, the acceptance of the truth that what is done cannot be undone. The dead person is dead, but the living, they just forgive. And life moves on. If not, you'll be hatred after hatred. And it's never end. Hatred, the Buddha says, hatred can only be elevated by kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance. If not, you'll be forever like what we read in the sutta or what is happening around the world. An eye for an eye, you kill me, I kill you, revenge. You look at Pakistan and Israel, never ending war. Since time immemorial, since I was born, I heard about these two countries fighting, and today they're still fighting. And why? Because of human greed, because of the pride, human greed, or the attachment to the labeling, me, myself, I'm a better breed. And this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what keep hatred brewing, more hatred. So, well, some may say that I shouldn't have mentioned the name of the country, but this is true. We're talking basing on the facts that's published in the newspaper, but we're using it as a study aid. It's for information's aid. It's a study aid for us to reflect on our human behavior. How can we train ourselves? Then we can be a better person on earth. Then we can know how to react. And that is Dhamma. We're not going to just read something and just be hypocrite and know that I know Dhamma, but not reacting to it. And the most important thing is our mental state, our mind state. When you love someone very much, when an undesirable thing happens, you break out, you hate the person even more. Because why? The more you love, the more hatred. This is the pair of the world. But you can say that they will be. That's why you must strike the balance. That's why when the Buddha talked about anicca, impermanence of things in life. Things changes. If you were to know how to treat our life based on this impermanence, then we will take life very easy, responsibly, accountably, right? But not what we see nowadays. People are not responsible, not accountable, and they talk rubbish, they do rubbish things. No, we want to be accountable. We must be responsible. And we must have the trust and honesty in ourselves. This is something that can build up your goodness, the integrity of a human beings. That will be the sharing for today. Yatha varivaha pura paripurendi sakarang eva meva nitotina petana upakapatit ichita padita tumha kipameva samichatu sape purendu sankapa Chanto panaraso yatha manicho diraso yatha Iyo vivanchandu samharo govina sadumade bhava vandarayo sukhi dikhayo go bhava viva Tanasile sanichang buddha
ปัจจายโนจัตตารโอธัมมาวัฏันติอายุวันโนสุขังอาลายาสมิปะเดเสกาเปเตวาสัปปริตจติโยศีลาวะเดตโมเจตวาสัญญาเตบรมจาริโนยาดาตาเดวตาสุนตาสาดากินามาเดเสตาปุจิตาปุจายันติมาริตามานายตินังตาโตนังอนุกัมปันติมาตาพุทธาวราสังเอวตานุกัมปิโตโปโสสัตตบารานิปัสสติภวตุสาพมังคลังราคะตุสาปเดวตาสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสาพมังคลังราคะตุสาปเดวตาสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสาพมังคลังราคะตุสาปเดวตาสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเต